Hey there. In this video, I will show you the Evernote Task feature. Yes, it is powerful. I want to show you because tasks in Evernote are easy and flexible. And before I start, I want to ask you a question because depending on your answer, this is going to be valuable to you. Are you struggling with switching from your Notes app to your Calendar app to your Task app? You don't have to. In this video, I will show you how to reduce that switching friction when you have all of these capabilities or features in one place. That one place is in Evernote. In a prior video, I've shared the notes, of course, creating notes. I've also shared the calendar. This is the third leg of that stool, the task. Let's go ahead and get started by hopping to the computer and looking at Evernote task. So here we are. We're in Evernote Task. We are in the Evernote home screen, and right here in the left, you see Task. You see I've got some overdue tasks, but you see Task. Well, Task is just that. It's next actions. In the GTD world, we call these next actions. Some people call them to-dos, people call them my projects. Whatever you call them, it's where you track the actionable work you need to accomplish on a given day, week, month, whatever the time period is. So let's figure out, first of all, how we get into task and use it. There are multiple ways, but the first way is in the sidebar. So I'm going to expand the sidebar here. And down the left-hand side, one of the options is task. If you click it, or when you click it, the full task screen shows up. So that's one way to get to task. Clearly, the other way is in Evernote Home. If you have the task widget on Evernote Home, you can click on the overflow and click go to task. It'll bring you to the full task interface. So let me give you one other important concept in Evernote. Go into the settings, and I'm going to explain the screen, but there's this option that says default task note. If I go to the default task note, there's this note here named things to do with the word current to the right in parentheses and a check mark next to it. That is the default note. What does the default note mean? When you create an Evernote account and it creates a note for task. It automatically names the note things to do. You can change the title of the note. You can create another note that will serve and set it as your default. It's just Evernote has to have a note or a page where, in the absence of knowing anything else, Evernote will place the task that you create. That's the default note, default task note. Similar to, there has to be a default notebook for tasks to go into. This is a default default note for tasks to go into. Let me say that again because I got tongue twisted. Similar to there being a default notebook for notes, tasks have a default note for task. That's what I just showed you, that things to do. Now, let's go ahead and look at the task screen so you know we can walk through the parts. Here we are back on the computer. I'm going to collapse the sidebar because we don't need that. And you see we're here on the task. It tells me there are 44 tasks, so you can always see how many you have. Then there are some tabs. We'll talk about those, but I'm going to go up here to the upper right. The first option you see is new task. It's exactly what it says. You click it and you can create a new task. To the right of it is a sort icon. You can sort your task by relevance, and this is ascending and descending, by the title of the task, ascending and descending, by the due date of the task, ascending and descending, by the priority, high, medium, low, by the date it was created, and by the date it was updated. So many sort options are available right here under this sort task by. The immediate right is filter. You can filter task, meaning you can hide or say, I only want to see certain ones. So, what are those options? You can filter by recurring task. You can filter by flag task. You can filter by tasks that are completed. You can filter by the due date. So, tasks that are due on a certain date. Let me get that correct. You can and it doesn't have to be a certain date. You can say the next 14 days, for example, right? So to look out. You can filter by priority. I only want to see high priority task, or I only want to see medium priority task. And these stack together. You can do recurring and priority. So you can stack these filters together and to manage what you see right here on the screen, right? Then you can remove all filters, and there's a search box. If you know you have a word in a task, type the word, the task will show up. Then I showed you the overflow. This overflow button sits in a lot of screens. You can show the notes that are shared with you here. Don't need to see that for task. Show completed task. Move completed task to the bottom of the list. Set task reminders if you use them. The reminders on or off. You can choose different times. You can add different times for a task. Say you want to know things that have a 1 day before something is due. You can also change again that default note where your tasks go. That's the first part of navigation. Now, the second part of navigation, I called it another way to filter my task. By default, it shows me my task. That's everything. And if there's no one assigned, it defaults here. It assumes that the owner of the account. But I can also sort by what notebook the tasks are in. So I've got tasks in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different notebooks. And I can see to the right how many tasks are in each notebook. This one has 4, this one has 6, this one has 6, this one has 25, this one has 1. Then I can go to the next. It's notes. I can sort by what note the task is in. So if I want to see what note a task is in, I can sort by that. I can sort by things that are due today. And of course, it's going to show me anything that's overdue. I've got 14. Why? Because this is my demo account. And then when I assign tasks to others or to myself, I can sort by tasks that are assigned. You see, I assigned a couple to myself. I can assign tasks to anyone. This is important to know. So I'm going to come back and talk to it a minute. This is part of collaboration. You can assign an Evernote task to anyone with an email address. The person does not need to have an Evernote account. They will get an email with the details of the task in it. They can mark the task complete and you will be notified. Think about that. You can manage tasks, see what you've assigned or delegated to someone else, and know when it's complete. And the person does not have to have an Evernote account. They just simply need to have an email account, and you have to know their email address. Let's go ahead and move on to the next point. Okay, so I've got a a blank note here because I want to show you the multiple ways of creating task in a note. And these steps work in all notes. First of all, you got to have a note. But how do you get a task in there? I'm going to start with the menu items first. In the insert, click on insert, go to task, and it'll create a task. And you can type the task in, and you've entered it in the note. When you hit enter, it'll create another blank task, and you can add the task there. So I can say task 2, task 3. This is a great way to brainstorm and just get the ideas that are rolling around in our heads out, and we can manage them later. But there are other ways we can do it. We can also hit the parenthesis, open paren, and close paren, and that'll create another way of creating a task. So if you're typing and your hands are on the keyboard, you don't want to take your hand off the mouse, hit open paren, close paren, it'll create a note. But there's another way, and that is you can hit Command T on a Mac, and that's another keyboard shortcut that you can use. So you don't need to take your hands off of the keyboard to create a note, create a task. I keep saying note. You don't need to take your hand off the keyboard to create a task in a note. Multiple ways to do so. You can also, if you recall, you can also create a task directly here on the home screen. Go to task, click the button that says task, and enter a new task. And you can click the note where the task will go and click create. Yet another way to create tasks. Let's look at another way. Here we are on the calendar, and I can create a task right from the calendar. And I can pick the note, put that task right in that same note. So we have entered tasks directly in a note. We've entered tasks from the calendar. We've entered tasks from the home screen. Multiple ways we've used the keyboard shortcut, and we've used the mouse. So you have a lot of flexibility of how you capture tasks. By the way, you can enter tasks directly from the mobile app as well using mobile widgets. In a later video, I'll show you using the mobile app on an iPhone and let you see how that works. But there's more to it. I've just typed names of tasks. There's a lot of information I can add. So let me just open up this task and look at some of the details. I can add a description. Y'all know I can't type by now, right? So I have phone numbers, reference numbers, links, other information I want to capture around that task, I can put it there. I can set a due date, today, tomorrow, or custom date. Let's say I want to have it due on the 22nd, and this one I don't want to put a time on it, I just want to have it on a day. I can set it as a repeating task. I'll show you one of those. I can set reminders. I can assign it here. I can set a priority. Let's make this one a high priority. And I can flag it. And then I save it. When I go back to the note, it's due Wednesday. It has a flag on it. It's not repeating. But I can make it repeating if I choose to, just by adding it and saying, make it repeat once every day, week, month, annually, or after completion. So let's say after it's completed, I want to repeat this every week. And it'll start on January 22nd and it'll end on, let's say, February 28th. Okay. So if I have a task that's going to repeat, but I only need it to repeat for a defined period of time, a couple of weeks, a couple of months, I can set those parameters on the task. Okay. Let's look at recurring tasks. Let's say this one here, number 4. I want to set it as I set a recurring, but this one I want it to be recurring and I don't want it to ever end. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to say repeat. I'm going to repeat it. Let's say this is a daily habit that you're building. So I want it to repeat every day. Let's say after completion, I like after completion every day. And I don't want it to end. I want it to continue to go on. So I'm building a habit. I want to see this task show up. And this time, I want to do this task at a certain time. Say I want to do it at 5:30 p.m. every day, right? And save. What did that do? I'm going to show you on the calendar next what that just did. So here we are on the calendar. I made this task number 4 to do today. It put it on the calendar. Now, if you recall, I said this can go on, these calendar items can go on either calendar. I could switch this, but I'm not. But it'll show up every Sunday after I mark it complete, every day, correction. See how it hopped? When I marked it complete, it put it on tomorrow. If I mark tomorrow to complete, it's not there yet. So I can't do anything with it. It'll say you can do this tomorrow. Next due date is tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. So you can move tasks forward in a repeating fashion, and you don't have to see a whole slew of them on your calendar or in a long to-do list, but you want a reminder on your calendar. Great opportunity. Let's move on. Now, I did say that tasks live in notes. Just as a recap, I did a video on the calendar and I showed inserting the calendar, but I said you could insert a task. So let's say I want to, for this action item, I'm watching the game tonight and I want to remember to post a comment during the game. And I want to do it today. I can put action items or tasks right in another note. This one happens to be a note that's got other events in it. So I can add task into any type of note that I have. It doesn't have to strictly be in a note that is geared just strictly to task. So meetings, projects, research, any kind of activity that you're running. Why is this important? Oftentimes we need to know the context of a task. Pairing your notes and your tasks together gives you that context, and you don't have to do as much switching. You're in one app, your notes app, you've got your calendar and your task linked together. That is a game changer, as the saying goes, if I've ever seen one. And I hope you found this very valuable today. So if you found it valuable, it's a good time to subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything, and it really helps the channel. And I greatly appreciate your support. I'm a longtime Evernote user. I've been using the program since 2008. And I want to let you know this video is not sponsored. I am simply a long time Evernote user. I look forward to seeing you in the next video of the Evernote Simplified series. This one is video number 9 in a series of 15 videos. We've just got a few more to go, and we'll be through the series, and you will have a strong foundation of using this super powerful application. I look forward to seeing you in future videos. Hey, so are you enjoying these videos? Great. I'm going to encourage you to watch the next one that's going to pop up right here that the algorithm is going to show you, and I'll see you over there. It'll be a good one. See you there.